The following is a presentation of the Pro Wrestling Report. Informative, entertaining, and real since 1998.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, no, that's fine. I'll talk to him again. I mean, he knows not to say that stuff on air, but you know, he's got an issue. Oh, hold on 1 second, please. Come in.
Sorry, Mr. Nelson, for interrupting. I know you're on an important phone call, but do we have an issue up front? Linda's at the door, and she's got two people with her named Cinnamon and Spice.
Who? No, they're not getting in. Secure facility. We installed that brand new security system last week. They're not getting in. Done. End of story. Thank you very much. And be sure there's my cup with my Jameson and my ice when we start in a few minutes.
I understand. I'll get right on it.
Yeah, just make sure that security system is perfectly executed. I'm the only one with the password. You know what it is, right? RHODES. It's the password.
It's about to get funky up in here.
What the heck? Should I get this? Linda K. Linda K. Keith Tiesick, how are you? You're cold. Aren't you on your way in? No. Andy said no because Damien said no. Doesn't Damien realize that he's actually paying for these girls by the hour, Cinnamon and Spice, and I know they're going to bring a lot of stuff nice? Okay. All right, just stay right there. I promise. Heroettes, PWR PrimeTime, gonna happen tonight. You stay there. I will find Andy. If I have to, I'll look for Paul Fix. It'll all be fine. My bad. All right, bye-bye. Andy, Nelson, we got issues.
This is the Pro Wrestling Report, Primetime TV, the longest-running pro wrestling news program in the world, with your hosts, David Hero and Damian Nelson.
Coming up next here on the Pro Wrestling Report Prime Time, there will be no more dancing, but we will be telling you all about the latest in professional wrestling, including a major suspension from WWE that bears significance on this person's career. David Hero has his star of the week. We've got the winner of last week's Elimination Chamber trivia question and an all-new question for this week. And we look back into the history book at the 1997 WWE Royal Rumble. All that along with all the latest from WWE and TNA and Ring of Honor here on the Pro Wrestling Report Prime Time, which starts right now, right here on My 24 Milwaukee.
What's up, all you stars and studs? I'm Maria Canales, and you're watching the Pro Wrestling Report on My 24.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Pro Wrestling Report Primetime Television. Damian Nelson sitting alongside David Hero.
It was gonna be great.
In your opinion?
It was gonna be dancing girls, showtime, fun, excitement, shenanigans.
We're here to talk wrestling, not watch you dance.
Well, but it's about ratings.
Let's go to our top story, ladies and gentlemen. A big suspension in WWE this week. Evan Bourne suspended for 60 days for his second wellness policy violation. This newsworthy because it was just over 1 month ago where Evan Bourne was suspended for his first wellness policy violation, resulting in a 30-day suspension announced on November 1st. And Evan would return to WWE on December 3rd. Well, now just here on January 15th, I believe is when it was announced, he is suspended again for 60 days, gone. Now, there is some indication that he's a little upset with WWE because when he was found,
he got caught.
When he got caught back in November, R-Truth did as well. However, R-Truth was allowed to work the Survivor Series some 17 days after Evan Bourne was announced as suspended.
Yeah, but Evan Bourne wasn't in the main event at Madison Square Garden with The Rock.
And it is written into the policy where WWE can wait until a promoted event has occurred to suspend a talent as soon as reasonably possible. And you got to argue that it wasn't reasonably possible to replace
Why is he
Truth.
mad at our Truth scenario? He should be more upset about his own.
Well, we also hear that they were both ratted out.
I hate when that happens.
Hey, if you're going to have this wellness policy, let's not sugarcoat it, David Hero.
No.
There are people who don't necessarily fall under the complete auspices of the wellness policy in WWE.
There have been some headlining main eventers that have tested positive and have not been suspended.
So you got to think from an Evan Bourne standpoint, who arguably has never been a company man and doesn't want to be a company man, is upset, justifiably so.
If he's not careful, he's going to wind up in TNA or on the Indies, which is similar.
What about Kofi Kingston? One half of the tag team champions. They lost the championship belts Sunday in Oakland at a house show.
You know, Kofi reminds me of being K Quick. When K
true.
Quick was teamed up with Road Dogg, and Road Dogg got fired for extracurricular activities outside of the ring. Shenanigans. So it's amazing how history does, in fact, repeat itself. But you know what? Kofi is talented. The kids love him. The office adores him. He will land on his feet and go on and do some more great things.
Evan Bourne, very popular as well. Will he land on his feet after this 60-day suspension, which takes him basically through the beginning of April?
Well, if he doesn't, I'm sure he won't even feel it anyhow. He'll be fine.
Evan Bourne suspended from WWE for 60 days due to his second wellness policy violation. I'm not sure that Evan Bourne's going to find a home back in WWE by his own choosing when that suspension is served up. And we don't know for sure if this is the same case as before, where it was the synthetic marijuana that caused the suspension, but one has to assume that it was. And a lot of people are blaming Evan for this. Obviously, he bears the blame, but I wonder how deliberate it was. I don't think he really cared.
Oh, he asked, obviously he didn't care if he went out and did it right again.
Yeah.
Come on.
Well, that is this week's top story, and now let's move on and talk about Ring of Honor Wrestling, which was on just before us here on My 24 Milwaukee, our home station. And new tag team champions crowned at Final Battle in the Briscoes. We would see Charlie Haas and Shelton Benjamin angrily retort to the fact that they lost the tag titles and had been fined by Jim Cornette for $5,000 for those chair shots. Jim Cornette would then announce that anybody who levies a chair shot on another competitor in Ring of Honor Wrestling will be fined $5,000 each time. That then brought out the Briscoes, David Hero. The Briscoes very over with that crowd in Baltimore, where things look great on TV, much better than they have in the last few weeks, and said, well, where does the money go? Jim Cornette said, I don't know where the money goes. I don't get it. The Briscoes then say, well, bring everybody out here, let them start hitting us with chairs, and we'll take the $5,000 a pop each time it happens.
It's amazing how a tag team like the Briscoes, who was just, they're about shenanigans. They're about beating people up.
They're corn-fed,
and
them boys.
It's kind of like when Demolition was heel, turned babyface, Road Warriors heel, then babyface, Freebirds heel, then babyface. The fans love the bad guys, and eventually they start to cheer them.
One bad guy, Kevin Steen, will be back on Ring of Honor television in 2 weeks' time, we found out this week. And it is clear he still has some bone to pick with Jim Cornette. So that should be interesting TV in the next couple of weeks. Also some competition from Roderick Strong, who defeated Ricky Reyes, Eddie Edwards defeating Mike Mondo, and also in the main event, Matt Jackson defeating Kenny King after his brother interferes in the matchup. It's this week's Ring of Honor report. Still to come here on the broadcast tonight, we're going to talk about TNA and this past week's Impact. David Hero has a Star of the Week, which should be interesting as usual. We've got the winner of last week's Elimination Contest trivia question, the new question for this week as well. Also the history book looking back at the 1997 WWE Royal Rumble. All that and more still to come right here on the Pro Wrestling Report Prime Time on My 24 Milwaukee.
It's the most dangerous structure ever created.
32,000 pounds.
16 tons of steel. It's the kind of match that changes your life.
Now, for the first time ever, it's coming to Milwaukee, the WWE Elimination Chamber.
The pain is horrific.
Savage. Career ender.
6 men enter.
No one
leaves the same.
WWE Elimination Chamber, live in Milwaukee. Tickets on sale now.
Sunday, January 29th, 5 o'clock bell time. It's Great Lakes Championship Wrestling back at the Horny Goat Hideaway. Come down and see live pro wrestling featuring stars such as Robbie E. from TNA Wrestling, Rhino, Scotty 2 Hotty, Al Snow, and former WCW star Gorgeous George. Stick around after the wrestling for a free viewing of the WWE Royal Rumble on the Midwest's largest television. TLCW, the Pro Wrestling Report, the Horny Goat Hideaway, and the Royal Rumble, all in one place on one night. For all you great fans, go to PWRshow.com for more information. PWRshow.com.
Welcome back to the Pro Wrestling Report. Primetime. Damian Nelson sitting alongside David Hero.
Linda is furious with you right now. I hope you're proud of yourself.
I'll take care of her. Time to talk about World Wrestling Entertainment, and a very eventful WWE RAW this past Monday night starts us off with a big return, an unexpected return. Mick Foley kicks off Raw this past Monday night and then ends up being involved in the main event when another star walks out on that six-man tag matchup. Got to give props, though, to all the men that were in the ring to begin and in the show, specifically Dolph Ziggler, David Hero.
You know, when you think of Mick Foley and you think of Anaheim, you think of Disney, and he mentions two of his kids, Huey and Dewey.
And Dewey?
How great is that? It was the perfect place to bring Mick Foley back for, to then say he wants to go back to the Royal Rumble to win it to headline WrestleMania. Can you imagine that? Mick Foley headlining WrestleMania in Miami?
Doubtful that that will actually occur, but Mick Foley in the Royal Rumble is definitely intriguing. Now, the other man in that main event matchup would be Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho, who would get the hot tag, if you will, and then subsequently walk out while smiling, which then brought Mick Foley down to the ring, which set up one of the hottest endings, I think, of Raw in a very long time. John Laurinaitis, CM Punk, Mick Foley.
I thought you were going to say Mick Foley putting Sacco on David Otunga for a hot ending to Raw.
CM Punk showing some anger, showing some shades of his summer promo.
Had some fire.
And John Laurinaitis, Big Johnny, showing he doesn't want to be played with anymore, and admittedly said he's going to admitting that he's going to screw over CM Punk at the Royal Rumble when he's special guest referee in his match with Dolph Ziggler.
He's not going to, though. Something will happen.
He said he would.
Of course he says it, but when you tell him you're going to do it, it never happens.
True.
So, besides just setting up Punk and Jericho, unless Jericho is the guy that screws Punk at the Rumble.
Chris Jericho.
Oh my gosh,
again.
I'd already be the booking stuff 2 weeks early. We got to stop this.
Chris Jericho again, just brilliant.
Jericho is doing exactly what he has to do. He has to get the fans to boo him because they will cheer him eventually.
Speaking of cheering, some cheering was going on for the second
Alicia
week of
Fox
Raw.
on Raw tonight.
The second week on Raw of Brodus Clay.
Oh, Brodus Clay. See, that was the whole gimmick, you know, with the Heroettes and Brodus.
You're no Brodus Clay.
Oh, but we have similar dance moves.
I'm not sure
We can
from
both
what I
get
saw
down.
from afar.
We're funky. Brodus Clay is going to be a rock star, and he proved that on SmackDown.
A dance-off
night.
with Vicky Guerrero and then William Regal getting involved as well.
The Tootsie Roll was, wow. Who would have thought? You know, William Regal, that was a gutsy call putting him in there with William Regal because the guy is so fun and entertaining.
Yeah.
The fans love him.
Yeah.
But there's no one else that does it better than William Regal as far as making fun of himself. Well, except you.
He kissed Vince
you're pretty
McMahon's
good at that.
butt.
Yes, he did. His bum cheeks.
Brodus Clay, though, you talked on Monday Night Meltdown about a major star who may not necessarily be in favor of this particular characterization.
And of course, once I mentioned that, I got a memo from the corporate offices saying,
1241 East Main?
Yeah, don't mention the guy by name, but let's just say he has one hell of a streak going, and he's burying him in the back. So let's just say
Burying him alive?
He could very well be. He's trying to put a nail in the coffin. I don't know. Read into it whatever you want, but one of the biggest headlining main eventers in the history of WrestleMania, not a very big fan of the current Brodus Clay character. Hopefully he doesn't get derailed by backstage politics and shenanigans, but Brodus Clay is a stud. The fans love him. You may not like his attitude, his gimmick, whatever it is, but it's so much more entertaining than just going out there and being a tough guy and beating people up. Do it with some flair, a little bit of style.
Had he come back as that tough guy just beating people up in his second week after his return, would anybody have cared?
Nobody would be talking about Brodus Clay right now. Not at all.
Zack Ryder loses the United States Championship to Jack Swagger, the internet darling.
I just picked the guy up on the Super Friends.
And gee, I wonder why he lost.
And he's
a loser. Just like all the other Mighty Mouse Club members.
Is I finally cave in a little bit and I side with the masses out there, the ones that said I was wrong, and
you then were.
Well, not really. I mean, who's the champ right now? the guy that I said would be a future WrestleMania headliner, Jack Swagger. I mean, he got the girl. See,
Jack Swagger was injured.
No.
I'm sorry.
That's the thing.
Zack Ryder injured.
He got the girl, then he got soft. He got weak. And then he loses. Eve, I don't want to say screwed Zack Ryder, but Eve screwed up the whole situation where Zack Ryder was a champ, he was a star. He falls in gaga goo-goo love and gets hurt. Kane beats him up, chokeslams him on some boards, flat tire, loses the belt. It's not me. It's Eve is the one that screwed Zack Ryder's career.
WWE SmackDown last night, Daniel Bryan blames the Big Show and actually goes as far as to say the Big Show should just quit because of what he did to AJ last Friday night on SmackDown.
You know, I don't like how they're using Big Show. He's like a babbling, bumbling, crying giant. I mean, he's the largest athlete on the planet, and Daniel Bryan Danielson can make him feel bad and make him cry? I mean, come on. Big Show has gone through, he was thrown off the top of some building in Detroit and survived.
Cobo Hall.
Yeah. I mean, he came back to beat Hulk Hogan that night.
That night, yes.
You know? Come on.
Wade Barrett defeating Sheamus in a tables match, and that wouldn't be the end, though, of Sheamus, even though Jinder Mahal got involved. Sheamus would then stand tall after throwing all the lumberjacks out after the main event matchup between Mark Henry and Daniel Bryan ended without a finish. Sheamus still getting that very strong push.
Sheamus is a stud. He's well on his way. He could win the Royal Rumble and go to headline WrestleMania. But let's not forget, the last time I saw two young, up-and-coming studs,
Cody Rhodes and Ted DiBiase when they were in Legacy,
feud like Barrett and Sheamus is when The Rock was feuding with Steve Austin for the IC Championship.
Will there be a title thrown into the Detroit River or the Michigan River?
No, I don't think so. I really don't. But, I mean, they don't need it because the belts there are just props.
Will there be a beeper involved?
You know what's funny? Speaking of belts and pictures and everything else, remember that picture that was all over Twitter and the internet when it was Daniel Bryan Danielson, CM Punk, Cody Rhodes, and the tag champs? 3 of those belts are gone. 3 of those guys no longer have gold.
Cody definitely still has his. I understand you and Cody interacted this week.
Yeah, you know what? Cody and I, we chatted a little talk, and we're going to have a...
I put you two in contact because
you know what? He's going to be in Milwaukee for the Elimination Chamber. I told him when he comes to town, he could buy me a drink, and we'll talk about it.
A very strong ending to WWE RAW. A great SmackDown again last night. Let's find out if anybody on either of those 2 programs were able to make the Star of the Week billing. Let's go now to David Hero with this week's PWR Star of the Week.
This week's PWR Star of the Week is the man, the myth, the legend, the guy who made Little Jimmy popular and trending on Twitter. Yes, it is that guy, Damian Nelson's second cousin, twice removed. R-Truth, R-Quick, K-Quick, Ron Killings. Just goes to show a guy gets a second, third, even a fourth chance in the WWE and makes the most of it. Turns out to be one of the most entertaining guys on Raw Monday night, and then goes on to win a big Battle Royal qualifier for the Royal Rumble. Nobody else to choose from except for Little Jimmy and R-Truth as this week's PWR Star of the Week.
Sunday, January 29th, 5 o'clock bell time. It's Great Lakes Championship Wrestling back at the Horny Goat Hideaway. Come down and see live pro wrestling featuring stars such as Robbie E. from TNA Wrestling, Rhino, Scotty 2 Hottie, Al Snow, and former WCW star Gorgeous George. Stick around after the wrestling for a free viewing of the WWE Royal Rumble on the Midwest's largest television. TLCW, the Pro Wrestling Report, the Horny Goat Hideaway, and the Royal Rumble, all in one place on one night. For all you great fans, go to PWRshow.com for more information. PWRshow.com.
Welcome back to the Pro Wrestling Report Primetime Television. Damian Nelson along with David Hero.
That was my Mr. Perfect tribute.
It didn't work out so well for you. And this is TNA, by the way. Time to talk TNA Report, and let's talk about last Thursday's Impact Wrestling on Spike TV. How about Eric Young beating Angelina Love and doing so by disqualification after, Angelina kicked him a little south of the border.
You know, you would have thought that since, of course, TNA Impact Wrestling is taped, that Perez Hilton would have seen how to properly handle a knockout or a diva, the way Eric Young took care of Angelina Love.
Winter and Angelina attacking him after the matchup. ODB, his partner, comes down and makes the save.
You know what? She should. I mean, her man got kicked in the cashews or the planters, whatever we can appropriately say on TV here. But, I mean, come on. I mean, ODB and Eric Young, two bright spots in TNA wrestling.
Austin Aries, another bright spot in TNA wrestling, wants us to know just how good he is. Well, this time his gloating brought out a return in TNA. One half of the Motor City Machine Guns is back, Alex Shelley. And he wants a piece of that X Division Championship. Actually, he wants the whole X Division Championship. And Austin Aries is looking for a warm-up partner.
You know what? The amazing thing is right now is Austin Aries is so good as the X Division champion. He needs some guys to work with.
Make him better.
To play
Not
with.
make him better, but make his championship reign that much more significant.
He is a ring general. He can go out there and have a great match with anybody. But you have to have the baby face to cheer for, to chase him. And right now they don't have that. They might have it in Alex Shelley because the machine guns are so popular. But they need a strong X Division baby face for Austin Aries.
And Alex Shelley could be that guy. Great in the ring. I am looking forward to these two getting in the ring and having a matchup. A one-on-one matchup. No gimmicks needed in that particular scenario.
Oh, but of course they'll have at least 300 or 400.
There is still no number one contender for the TNA World Championship held by Bobby Roode. Bobby or Robert?
I prefer Robert. Robert sounds more like a champion than Bobby. You know what, Damien? You know where it's going to end up.
Where's it going to end up, David?
It's going to be a three-way.
Dance?
A TNA three-way between James Storm, Jeff Hardy, and Robert Roode.
Bully Ray gets involved. James Storm and Jeff Hardy go to a no contest, so we don't have an official number one contender right now, but we do have a couple weeks before the next pay-per-view, so they've got time to sort it out, if you will.
But it always winds up in a three-way. It's TNA. That's what they're known for.
TNA is also known for doing their weekly Impact shows from the same place, Orlando, Florida, in the Impact Zone. Well, that changes for the next few weeks as TNA is going to be going across the pond over to the UK to tape the Impact broadcast.
Fish and chips.
In London, and several other tapings as well. I believe Nottingham, England, and this is going to be huge for TNA in addition to their brand new television deals that they just signed in many countries across the country, the world.
I want to see ODB and Eric Young in one of those cars in a circle going, hey, look, Jess.
It's not a
Big
circle,
Ben
it's a
Parliament.
roundabout. In a circle. Really?
Well, it's a circle.
It's a roundabout.
Well, it's the shape of a circle.
Yeah, but there's
you don't say,
there's
look,
arteries.
There's a roundabout.
Yes, you do. You don't call it a circle when you drive up to it. There's
arteries?
3 or 4 of them here in Milwaukee.
Oh, that's fine.
I thought you were cultured.
I am cultured. Like
you know they
yogurt.
drive on this side, too.
Yes, of course. But how funny
As you would
be?
say, the wrong side, right? What if we drove on the wrong side?
No, I drive on the right side.
No, you drive on the left
Everybody else
side.
is bizarro world. But listen, how great would that be if they're driving around and look, ODB, Big Ben Parliament.
Pro Wrestling Report continues,
okay,
Linda,
trust me, pirouettes
on
next week,
air.
cinnamon and spice, and you can wear anything nice. It's going to be
Anyways, it's
fantastic.
time, ladies and gentlemen, to tell
Just
you
work on that
who won
dance
last
move.
week's Elimination Chamber trivia. We presented you with a question last week.
I'm on the phone.
We're on the air.
Okay.
Who won the 1996 WWE King of the Ring was the question, and the answer submitted by many of you was Stone Cold Steve Austin. That, of course, happening here in Milwaukee's Mecca Arena, and it was when Austin 316 was born. Well, congratulations go out to Bart Bartholomew from West Bend, Wisconsin, who won 4 tickets. The WWE Elimination Chamber coming to Milwaukee's Bradley Center on February 19th.
Wait, the King of the Ring is in 96. Elimination Chamber is coming up.
On February 19th.
Yeah. Why are you talking about King of the Ring for?
That was the question last week.
Yeah, Steve Austin was the guy that won, right?
Congratulations, Bart.
So you're
you
giving
win
Steve
4
Austin
tickets.
4 tickets?
No.
You just said Austin was the winner.
This week's question, ladies and gentlemen, because we're giving away tickets each and every week leading up to the Elimination Chamber. This week's question: who was the special guest referee in the main event at WWE Over the Edge 1998, which also happened at the Mecca Arena? A match full of shenanigans. Over the Edge 1998, which also happened
Arn Anderson?
here in Milwaukee. We're going to announce the winner to that one next week, and that person will also get 4 tickets for free to WWE's Elimination Chamber. Remember, you must be from the My24 Milwaukee viewing area. Stone Cold Steve Austin won the match.
So Austin won that, and then he won the King of the Ring all in Milwaukee? Milwaukee 316. This is his hometown, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Submit your entries to chamber@pwrshow.com. Again, that's chamber@pwrshow.com. Congratulations, Bart, this week's
But
winner.
Austin can't win because
I'd
he doesn't live in the Milwaukee area.
I'd like to continue talking about Stone Cold Steve Austin, though, as we go into the history book, looking back at the 1997 WWE Royal Rumble, which came to us from the Alamo Dome in San Antonio, Texas. Stone Cold Steve Austin winning that Royal Rumble matchup, which saw him left in the ring at the end with Bret Hart, Vader, the fake Diesel, and The Undertaker.
You said Austin won King of the Ring. I'm completely confused right now.
Are you gonna next ask me if this is fair to Flair?
Well, no, because that was 92.
You sound ridiculous. Andy, kill his mic. Stone Cold Steve Austin wins the Rumble. The first two entrants into the Rumble were Ahmed Johnson and Crush, of all people.
Ahmed Johnson was that King of the Ring in Milwaukee. He wrestled Goldust.
He did. Yes, he did. And he injured himself. He cut his hand on a table or something like that. Well, Ahmed injured himself every other week. But the main event was not necessarily the Royal Rumble matchup, even though the Royal Rumble had some memorable moments, including Austin sitting on the ring rope waiting, looking at the clock as he just kept eliminating people as they came out. And then Bret Hart, in that image you saw earlier with Austin with a look of terror on his face. Shenanigans would cause Austin to win that matchup and win the Royal Rumble in the Alamo Dome in front of 70,000 plus.
And he also won Over the Edge and King of the Ring, both in Milwaukee.
That's the history book for this week, ladies and gentlemen. For this one, this is Damian Nelson saying thank you so much for tuning in to the Pro Wrestling Report Prime Time right here on My 24 Milwaukee. We'll see you again next week.